Hey everyone, so you have accomplished a huge task. You have taken a full practice ALST exam or a full writing portion of the ALST exam. So what I want to go over in this video is a possible way to look at the second prompt, and I sort of paraphrase the second prompt here. Let me just bold it for you. Explain how information in table can be integrated with the author's central argument for passing 1240 in passage B. Explain how info in chart supports or counters the author's claim. Reasoning evidence. Include examples from passage and chart. Okay, so essentially what we're dealing with here, the prompt is asking us to do a number of things. So we want to make sure that we understand those things that are being asked of us. The first is we need to really understand what is going on in the chart. And so just so that we're all on the same page, we all had this graphic and you'll see what this chart really is looking at is the closure rate of charter schools from 2001 to 2010. And so you'll notice, like I said in the previous video, the first thing I did was read and annotate. So I noted that in passage A, Johnson's really calling for Washington citizens to say no to Initiative 1240. And the reason why I'm focusing on what Johnson wants citizens to do versus what Evans wants citizens to do is because, like I said before, if you skip through to the last prompt, you notice that that's what the question is going to ask you. It's always a good idea to be kind to yourself. And so if you know you have a limited amount of time, you really want to see if there's a way where you can answer all three questions and sort of read the text and annotate it by getting information that will help you answer all three questions. And so I noted the reason why she feels we should vote no. Johnson feels we should vote no to this 1240 initiative. And the 1240 initiative, from what we can gather in these two pieces, basically would provide charter schools to Washington. And so what Johnson is saying is no, we should vote no, and she lets us know the reason why she feels, coming from a public school system, that it would drain millions of dollars, right? So I pulled a quote. She uses her own observations, but she also provides research from Stanford. She says that, it has already been rejected. All the people that oppose the initiative she lists, even though we're not too sure of who these people are. Her own credibility, she has a child, she's a member of PTA, and she has been a teacher in the public school system for 13 years. Then we have passage B. Passage B, Evans states that 41 other states have charter schools and says, why shouldn't Washington, right? She indicates that research shows charter school students do well, especially those students who are already at risk. She also brings in what the opposition might say about oversight and says there's no need to worry. There are performance reviews. And basically, charter schools are like public schools. The difference is management. It's a private corporation, private management, and so that makes it a little bit more freeing for administration because they can make decisions. They don't have to abide by the same tenure rules. Teachers can get fired. Curriculum can change. And she also cites research from Stanford that says that states with really clear charter school laws have often seen the best result. Then the graph, what I noted, schools are closing less frequently, and the academic line seems to be increasing. The financial, so you'll remember, these are all of the different reasons for charter schools to close. So here it seems, and I apologize because this isn't the best quality. Oh, there you go. Here it seems that there was a little bit of an increase, right? It went from being 0.3% to about maybe 0.8% of schools were closed because of academic reasons, whereas it seems in 2001 there was a 4% reason for well, the total amount of schools closing was at 4%, and it sort of declined to be about maybe 0.7%. Mismanagement is the purple line, right? And you'll see that that sort of started off at 0.75 and seems to have decreased. And financial started off at 2% and seems to have decreased, increased, decreased, increased, and decreased. Now, you want to understand the information you're seeing, but you also want to see sort of what are some questions you have, what are some things that you could sort of pay attention to. It's interesting, for example, for me that the financial reason for closure was so high, and in fact it was the highest reason for charter schools closing. So financial meaning, does that mean not enough funding? Does that mean it could mean a number of things, really. Not enough funding, not enough uh, money being given by private investors. Mismanagement seems to be also relatively high, right? That would be the second highest. And it seems to be decreasing, but then increasing. It seems that as though it's not sort of like a steady decline. Again, I would, when I'm taking the test, just be noting this to myself so I feel comfortable with the information. It seems like the one thing that's increasing, even though it's increasing at a slow pace, is academic. So the reason for some charter schools to close has to do with academic reasons. And other reasons, which is in that tealish color, you want to take note, includes district facilities, other end unknowns. So these are basically different types of reasons why the facility would close. All right, so we've done that, and let's imagine it's taken us, 40 minutes, maybe more. So now we want to address the prompt. Explain how information in table can be integrated with the author's central argument for passage B. So I already know in my head, okay, so I need to pay attention to what passage B is arguing. And then I want to incorporate what information I've seen in the table that can either support the author's argument or counter the author's argument. So the first thing I want to do is I want to address what's being done. Now, the thing I want to reiterate is there is no real wrong answer, in the sense that you can work the graph to support the author's argument, or you could work the graph to counter. As long as you're really explaining how it's doing either, there is no wrong answer. And so I will say that there are a lot of you all who noted the information in the graph counters author's passage B's argument that we should support. It counters author B's argument that we should support the initiative. And you specifically noted one claim that author B makes is that, by supporting this initiative, there will be a high level of accountability in charter schools. And you noted that, in fact, it seems like there is not any, and I'll just note this so you get a visual, no accountability. And the reason why there's no accountability is the chart shows that there hasn't been a lot of closures. And that's a phenomenal approach. But what I want to do is look at another possible approach. So the first thing I want to do is indicate, do I believe the information in the chart counters or supports? So I would be as clear as information in the graph supports author B's claim that the passing of the I-1240, right, the initiative 1240, will allow for higher accountability in charter schools. And you'll remember, there's a difference between an argument and a claim, right? An argument is the overall idea that the author is trying to prove, and a claim is a piece of support to prove this argument, right? So the overall argument is, let's vote for I-1240. The claim is, we should vote for I-1240 because there will be higher accountability in charter schools if we do. And so what I'm saying is, this chart supports that specific claim. So that's the first thing I want to do, right? According to this, I need to indicate whether it's supporting or countering. So I've done that. Then what I want to do is show how. So I'll go into the chart. The chart indicates on a national level, there have been closures of charter schools for a number of reasons. Charter schools have been held accountable for mismanagement of funds. What were the other things I saw? Lack of finances, poor academic standing, and a variety of other reasons. So hopefully, let's see, maybe. Okay, and notice, so I have 63 words already, and I have a couple more things I need to do. So information in the graph supports author B's claim that the passing of the Initiative 1240 will allow for higher accountability in charter schools. The chart indicates on a national level there have been closures of charter schools for a number of reasons. Charter schools have been held accountable for mismanagement of funds, lack of finances, poor academic standing, and a variety of other reasons. Now I want to actually see how it says include examples from passage and chart. I want to indicate a specific point in both the passage and the chart where they're supporting one another. So I'm going to start by talking about the passage. According to, and this is where annotation comes in handy, Evans, right? Or I can say according to passage B, actually. According to passage B, let's see, under the I-1240, she writes, charter schools will be subject to strict oversight and public accountability, overseen by a local school board or a newly created charter school. So in that passage, she talks about how this will allow for public accountability. The graph indicates this oversight has occurred since, and then we can say in between 2001 and 2010, there has been, well, how do we want to phrase this? Interesting. I apologize. Okay. Let's go back down. These are all the passages that you all already read. Okay. Let's go plus. All right. So we'll say here, the graph indicates this oversight has occurred. And maybe we want to really just be specific, right? So we'll say, for instance, in 2000, remember, we want to support our argument that this graph is supporting the claim, right? So let's pick a number that's particularly high. And again, you're not being mischievous, you're just using the information to work in your advantage. So in 2000 and the purple, in 2004, we want to do mismanagement because that really feels like it belongs with accountability. So about in 2004, roughly 0.7% of charter schools were shut down for mismanagement. Oops. For mismanagement. Again, word count check. Technically, I'm already surpassing the word count, but I still need to make sure I've done everything. So have I included examples from both the passages in the chart? Yes. Have I explained how info in the chart supports or counters the author's claims, reasoning, or evidence? I've indicated that it supports it. Have I done a little bit of the claim? Yes. Have I shown how it helps the reasoning? Yes, sort of. I can go further though if I have time. So I can say throughout passage B, the author, actually, if I start off, saying author B, I want to continue according to author B. So throughout author B's argument, she notes the importance oversight has on the success of charter schools. The graph indicates there is a what does the graph indicate? We said that there seems to be, how about this? There seems to be a steady decline in the amount of closures, which might indicate, again, manipulating evidence, which might indicate that because there's such oversight, that charter schools are just doing a better job in all of the above, right? So the graph, throughout author B's argument, she notes the importance oversight has on the success of charter schools. The graph shows that from 2001 to 2010, there has been a decrease in the amount of schools closed This could indicate that charter schools are aware of the oversight and are thus doing a better job in managing finances, right? Achieving high test scores and managing the overall structure of their institution. Let's see how we're doing on word count. Perfect, 182 words. Have I done everything? I believe I have. Just want to double check. Yes, I have. Well, let's just make of course I need to do what I preach, right? And so I want to go back and proofread. There should be that. Achieving high test scores, okay. And so I would say this is a relatively strong draft. Again, I'm more trying to model how to do this within a specific time frame. There are a number of things that I could adjust here. Really what I would consider adjusting is this line here, probably putting it after the reference to what the author says. However, as is, it's fine. And I just want to note that this could be totally flipped. You could say that these exact things that we're noting are the reason why it counters author B. And most of you, if not all of you, noted that. So again, either way is fine as long as you are clearly articulating the how, right? How the data supports or counters passage B or author B's claim. And remember again the difference between claim and argument. You want to really pick a specific claim that author B makes. So if her overall argument is vote I-1240, there are a number of reasons why she says you should vote for I-1240. She says accountability. She says students who are at risk will do well, right? But because this chart focuses on accountability, it's hard to really look at those other claims. What you might say is if she's talking about students who are at risk do better in charter schools, then maybe you could point to the academic black line and show how actually that's not true, because it seems as though a lot of schools or many schools were closed due to academic reasons. That's a possibility as well. And yeah, so I mean, I don't want to go through all of them because I really do think this is a strong example. However, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me within the YouTube forum, or you can ask me tomorrow before we take our second practice exam. And do look to another announcement in which I show you a way to answer the uh, final prompt, the one that asks you to give your own argument.